Talk Shoe.
Recorded live.
The beautiful intro of Talk Shoe leads us in this week. It's Travis. It's Vic. It's our drunken horror adventures. What's up, everybody? Vic's on the line. What's up, buddy?
What's up, man? What's up?
Can you guess what I'm drinking tonight? You should know because I've told you already, but I know you ignore anybody and everybody all the time.
Gumption, of course.
My favorite hard cider. It's good shit, man, because it's just strong enough and not too sweet. I love it. Plus, I love the Ringmaster that's on the can. That's a selling point for me. What can I say?
Yeah,
So here in like 2 minutes, Kevin M. Sullivan's going to call in. And for those of you who have listened to our Bundy shows in the past, whoa, Bundy, we had some excellent conversations with Kevin M. Sullivan. And tonight, we're going to do it in our own backyard as we talk Kentucky Bloodbath. Now, he's touched on some of these tales before on our shows, like the Valley Drive-In murders. But there's a few that we need to get into that we've never discussed. I've heard him talk about it on other shows, but, you know, other shows aren't our show, and they're not drunk. So, I mean, we have that extra part of it going for us, you know. It just makes it better. And you should be drunk when you're listening to us. We'll make a lot more sense that way.
That is the best thing I've ever heard in my life.
But it's true, because then I can talk about things, you know, about how, what was I comparing porn to? I was comparing it to something. Well, regardless, one time I was comparing porn to something, and it probably made a lot more sense drunk. So if you're listening to this show drunk, let me tip my cap to you, first of all. Good job. Second of all, I don't recommend listening to the show sober. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. So after our conversation about Kentucky Bloodbath, we are going to get into a conversation about what we've been watching, because Vic has somehow managed to watch more than one movie over the last week, which is pretty incredible. And me, I've watched like 8 movies over the last week. It's pretty crazy. I mean, but, you know, Netflix and Hulu, they've got a lot of new movies out that I had never seen, so I'm checking them out, and I've got a message, so hang on. Let me make sure that is, maybe that's Kevin. Hang on 2 seconds here. No, that was just my reminder. Anyway, surprisingly, he is actually 1 minute, or no, not 1 minute late yet. Not quite. Anyway, so, but yeah, Kevin's going to be talking about these tales. There's 10 of them, 10 bizarre murder stories from the Bluegrass State, our good old backyard here. And one of them's from Louisville. There's one from Bardstown, one from Lexington, and some other places. But it's really interesting to listen to. So looking forward to Kevin calling us here shortly. So, Vic, what have you been up to lately? I know you've been preparing for Scarefest this Saturday.
I have. Other than that, man, I've been working. I went to the zoo. You know, I'm trying to hang with the big dogs out at the zoo with you. But
I was trying to get you zoo fit. You got to get zoo fit. That's the new term, and I made it up. If it's somebody else's term, fuck them. I just took it.
I'm working on it, man. You know, but other than that, man, I've watched some movies, like you said. You know, I've been trying to get into the horror movie mood, the mode. You know what I'm saying? I got it. Over.
Well, Kevin's here now. He's actually logging in now.
Hey, Travis.
Hey, what's up, Kevin? How you doing, bud?
Real good. How's it going?
Well, it's been too long, and I feel really weird talking to you about something other than Bundy. After 3 shows on Bundy, I mean, we're moving on to a new conversation in our own backyard.
That's true. And after writing a trilogy on Bundy, 3 books out now, and then of course I'm done with Ted. But yeah, I've moved on to other things. I'm writing other things now, and but it's good to go back and talk about the Kentucky cases because they're very interesting.
Did this predate all the Bundy books, or was it somewhere slammed in the middle?
Here's the thing: for Kentucky Bloodbath, there's these cases for the most part were written, you know, many years ago. When I used to write for submit articles to Snitch. A couple of them appeared there, but most did not. And I know that I was dealing with a publisher back then to have them published. But That fell through, and then by the time that fell through, which I thought I was going to get a contract from them but didn't, I was already working on something else. In fact, I was working on, I think, the Bundy book by that time. And I put these in a drawer. And like I said, several of them were in Snitch. I know that one of them that was in Snitch also was published on the internet at a crime site called Clues, and which is defunct now, but it was very popular at one time, and I don't know why it went out like that. But anyway, the lady that used to run that was extremely nice. So I just don't know what happened there. But anyway, most of them were in a drawer, and then in 20, I think 13 maybe, I published a number of these in a book that Greg Olson and I did called Unnatural Causes. And there's a number of Kentucky cases in there. And one of those cases, maybe two of those cases were in Snitch. But in any event, most of them have not seen the light of day until publication. So a lot of them just sat in a drawer for a long time. And they finally, came to light, and they've been real popular. There's some really strange cases there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And there's one specifically I want to get into right off the bat. And
sure.
we'll kind of cherry pick them, but the first one I want to talk about is Death by Sword, just because that's such a strange story. And I know it's strange, but to this day I still feel like there's so much mystery surrounding it.
Right. Well, that was the murder that happened in Bardstown at the Stone Castle Museum. And for anybody that reads my book, Kentucky Bloodbath, it's in there. And it is strange because a fellow named Tony Gowan, well, by the way, he's out of prison now, and I don't know if he's in Kentucky or not, but he was convicted.
And he got arrested again for something else, actually. But I think it was a misdemeanor. Something about abusing a cat or something like that is something crazy.
Yeah, I can't recall, but yeah, there was something. And of course, that's a case that really wasn't solved for a couple of years because they greatly suspected him, but they couldn't put two and two together. But so he goes in and he kills this lady. Apparently, I mean, this is what he was, convicted of. And he took a broadsword that was and a broadsword is a very long medieval sword. People used to wield those with two hands. They're very heavy. And he rammed that thing down through her shoulder into her heart. And she must have died almost instantly. It's a real strange thing. And so he had he got away with that, and for a while. And it took a couple of cold case detectives a couple of years down the road to actually put that case together, and it was very interesting. And he was in the Marine Corps at the time, and down at Quantico, and he was in the process of being run out of the Marines because of some issues that he was having. I think it was abuse of drugs, and he was just having some issues. And so they were about to get rid of him, and these cops got him, and then he came back, and I think he received a 25-year to life sentence, or I can't remember. It's been so long, but he's out now. But he's a real strange character, and if anybody reads the story, there's a lot in there about. He was fascinated with edged weapons, and he ultimately committed murder with one. So it's a very, very strange case.
And this is one where they never found the motive or anything else, did they? I mean, I know he said he was on Quaaludes or something along those lines.
Yeah, I think the problem was I think he just wanted to kill. And, most of these guys that kill, they do it because they want to. And he had made a lot of statements to girlfriends and people that he knew about, cutting off heads and things like that. And even if he was high that morning, that's a lot of people get high, and they don't go in and shove broadswords down somebody's shoulder into their midsection and pierce their heart. This guy wanted to kill, and that's you can't read the case and not come away with that. So he may try to blame that on drugs, but it had nothing to do with drugs.
As we both know, Bardstown's a small town.
Yep.
To the best you could surmise, I mean, what was the reaction of this town to this murder?
Oh, they were shocked. I mean, you could imagine it. I have a book coming out in just early next year called Through an Unlocked Door, In Walks Murder. It's a book I've been wanting to write for a long time, and the reason why I'm bringing that up is because it has to do with people who leave their doors unlocked and get slaughtered because of it. And that's more common. But the thing about society is that society has a tendency to feel safe. And there's a term that I use, and I've used it for years. Everything is normal until it's not. And what that means is you're going along through life and everything is normal around you. But you're not thinking in terms of something terrible happening. And so you'll find communities like Bardstown, and I don't know how Bardstown reacted other than I know they reacted in shock, but I'm sure there was a lot of locking doors that weren't locked before, because this happens in communities and small towns and things like that where normally there's not a lot of crimes or homicides, and they leave their doors open. So I bet there was a lot of that, and then over time, then that came back to where people got used to it, and then we can leave our doors unlocked. So they were shocked in Bardstown, and probably it had reactions among the public, especially since they couldn't find out who did this. And the type of murder, this wasn't just a random shooting or a killing at a bar or something like that. This was something very different to find that woman with that broadsword stuck down her, and it like that. And it is it has a tendency to play with people's minds, and it is a eerie and horrible situation. So, like I say, it's not like somebody just gets shot on the corner for some reason. Those are horrible, but it's not as dramatic as like what happened to her.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the one where the two brothers walk in. They're going to pay admission to this museum, and nobody's there. They find her body, correct?
Yeah, and they couldn't really believe what they were seeing when they saw the body. And that's not unusual. I don't know if you remember this, but do you remember that fella in St. Matthews who killed his mother and brother? And he dragged, I think it was on, I can't remember the street, but it's right off of Shelbyville Road. And he dragged his mother and his brother out to the front of the home, dumped their bodies by the street for the garbage people to pick up. See, that's true legal insanity. He's not trying to conceal what he's done. He figured they're no longer alive, so that's what you need to do. Several people that passed by there and saw them, they didn't recognize them, but they reported to the police, you need to come out here because it appears like there's these mannequins out here with like ketchup or something on them, and we don't know what it is. And, of course, the cop rolls up. He gets out. He knows immediately as a dead body. You have these strange reactions out of people. As I recall, those brothers, they just did not think for a second whether that was real or not.
Yeah, it's just not something you see every day, and I don't think our brains are conditioned to deal with that unless it's something that they do see every day, like a police officer or a detective, that type of thing.
Right.
You and I wouldn't know. Yeah.
Right. It's something that people need to be aware of. Part of what I say in the book, I want to get people thinking, the book that's coming out in 2018, in terms of bad things can happen. And I talk about, there's a scene from the movie Sea of Love when Al Pacino's walking with Ellen Barkin, and he said, because she's a civilian, he's a